2023, the Kinetic Triathlon weekend. We are going to cover the long, the Olympic, and the sprint. We're going to briefly cover the long course, the half for everyone. We don't have anyone racing, but it's one of my favorite races, so we're just going to talk about it really quick, and then we're going to dive into the Olympic and the sprint. A couple of quick things to note before we dive in. Make sure you head over to the athlete guide section. We'll do this really fast for everyone. This athlete guide is typically updated 2 to 3 weeks before the race. You can see this is what is typical this year. They've taken the years off of these athlete guides so they can just have it be a standard go-to page for everyone. So now you can see here that the check-in time, schedule of events, we have packet pickup for the half and all those other ones is Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. We also have a 6 p.m. pre-race meeting at the race site. They usually do that on Facebook Live, but we'll check in later on in the season to see if that is the case. Saturday is the long course and Olympic race. Arrival time, they want you to arrive there early. Please don't speed in the park. Speed limit 25 miles an hour. Transition opens at 5:30 along with packet pickup, body marking, and chip pickup. Transition closes at 6:45 and the race start for the long course is 7 and the Olympics starts at 7:30. Both of these are a time trial start, so you do not have to worry about a wave start. Time trial start, they will let a couple athletes go in at a time and off you go. 11:30 a.m. award ceremony will promptly start for the Olympic and 1:45 for the long course event. Schedule of events. This is the next day, Saturday, 5 to 7 p.m. packet pickup. This is a similar rinse and repeat for the sprint, which is the following day. Sunday, arrival, race, transition opens at 6:30, packet pickup, chip timing, and body marking, same thing. Transition closes at 7:45, and the race starts at 8 a.m. Time trial start again with awards at 10:45. They might update that a little bit later. This is parking information. Parking is right over here. You're going to come down this road right here, hang a left-hand turn, be able to park in here. Athlete check-in is right through here. The transition area will be right through here. Parking is also available in here. I believe that is overflow parking. So they will load you up here, and if that need be, they will have you here. Just be aware if you are in this area, you are going to have to get out of there a little sneakily or be directed how to get out of the park, and don't just take off right there because there could be athletes coming down the hill, which we will talk about. Finish line is right through there. Swim start, swim finish, right through there. Keep scrolling down here. Page 5 talks about packet pickup and check-in. 10 things to know about race days on page 6. Course cutoff times are all here. Transition area and the aqua bike. If you are doing the aqua bike, make sure you hit up the aqua bike tent to finish your race. Race numbers are on page 9 along with body marking. Aid stations are on page 10. For the half, on the bike, there's going to be 2 water and Gatorade stops on the bike, and you can hit those 2 times for 4 opportunities. On the run, there are 4 water stops. Each of those have a variety of snacks, and you will be able to hit each of those on each loop. On the Olympic, there is no aid stations on the bike. On the run, there is an aid station approximately every mile, mile and a half. So you're going to have a number of aid stations to hit on the Olympic as well. On the sprint, no aid stations on the bike, and same thing, 1 to 1.5 miles for those aid stations. Race results and awards are on page 11. There is also a scrolling guide that they post up after the race so you can identify where you are in association with others. USAT penalties is on page 12. Make sure you check that link out. It's also very, very good to note. Page 13 is the water temperature and specific rules for there. And then we have basic swim start and rules and things like that. The swim time trial start is 2 at a time, 3 to 5 seconds. So you'll be able to choose who you're going to race with or race around. Be aware of what's going on around you. If you are not a strong swimmer, don't line up at the front, that kind of stuff. Page 17 talks about the bike. Specific cues and areas for you to watch out for. Rules and etiquette also on page 17, and the run, page 18. So now we're going to get out of that athlete guide. Make sure you check it out yourself. And now we are going to go get into the long course very quickly. So like we talked about, swim start is over here. This is a rectangle swim start. On the way out, you're going to be battling a lot of people. Very easy for you to overdo it. And so by the time you get to this turn buoy right here, you are going to be cooked. When you are coming back in, there is normally a push from one direction to the other. Just depends on what the wind or currents in the lake are doing. So be aware of that. Make sure you do pay attention to that on your swim practice round if you do elect to do that. Okay, keep in mind, the sun is going to be coming up from this area over here, so right-handed breathers beware coming back into town. On the bike right here, you are going to be vacating the transition area, climbing up out of the state park, which is routinely one of the most difficult portions of this course because it comes right away and you want to absolutely crush it. So most people do, and they pay for it later on. You are going to follow these left-hand turn arrows here. You're going to go over here, and then at mile 10 you're going to make a right-hand turn, and you are going to enter this circle area, which you will do 2 times before you take a left-hand turn and head back into town. A couple of quick notes: there is a hill over here and a hill over here. Those are the major portions out on the course. Be aware of what's happening and when. This section you will be able to fly, but you will hit that hill. Make sure you're managing your effort and your pace up it. Same with the hill over here. This area, their stretch, is very, very common for athletes to overdo their powers or just kind of chase the carrot. You know what I mean? They're just going to chase after people. They're not going to pay attention to their power outputs, and they also have another lap to go. This is a very, very sharp turn right here, and athletes almost always overdo it. There are a couple accidents every year here because people are not paying attention. They don't realize how sharp of a turn this is before they get there. So now the run, you're going to start over a transition which is located right here. You're going to run up the hill you just drove down and biked up and down in. Very, very difficult hill before you break off to the right-hand side, and you're going to do a little loop-de-loop right through here, come back up almost to that hill again, and you're going to drop down like a stone, and you're going to go back to that finish line, and you're going to repeat that 3 times. Don't overdo it on the big hills and let other people do a lot of work for you and totally let themselves blow up. Keep in mind, transition area here, finish line is here, and this is where the loops come in. You're going to run right past the finish line, and this year they say that, I mean, there's an arrow here, so hopefully they don't zigzag you up around the transition area, but I would suppose the area is the exact same it has been in years past, which is you climb back over here and you will run through the grass right next to transition over here around the building, and you will go right here running through people. So if you are done ahead of time, make sure you're watching out for athletes that are competing still, and you make a left-hand turn and then a right back out onto that big road for lap 2 or 3, and that is the half in a nutshell. So now that we've done that, let's dig into the reason why we're here, the Olympics. So Olympic distance, this is going to be a very, very similar to what was in the the half. Swim start is on the same side. Again, there are a couple of posts in this area left over from an old dock, so make sure you are paying attention and you are not swimming into those posts. Because it is a time trial start, do not expect it to be soft and gentle going into the water. People are going to be battling and they're going to be fighting very, very hard right through this spot, and that is probably going to last until this 3rd sighting buoy right here, maybe even a bit longer depending on where you are in the race. Very common for athletes to go out very hard in this race. It's one of the first races in the area, so let other people do the work if you have the capability. If you are in a group of 4 or 5 people and they are absolutely flying and you're sitting on their 5th person and you're just cruising, happy days for you. That is the ideal situation. If not, you're going to swim your race, and by the 2nd or 3rd sighting buoy, you really want to slow things down into your pace if you're not with a group, okay? Taking a right-hand turn over here, this is a very, very common area for athletes to just kind of shut down, and do not do that. It's a right-hand turn. Everyone should be able to turn right at this point in their lives. Swim, turn right, take 4 or 5 strokes. I would suggest even upwards to 15 to 20 before you really sight, okay? Again, you should be able to turn right, and as you're going out, you should be able to see what is going on over here when you are swimming down this line anyways. Swimming down here, hanging a right-hand turn, and you're going to this sighting buoy out here. It might be a little difficult in this section right here. There's probably going to be a thinning of the herd that happens right up in before this turn. So as you approach this 2nd turn buoy right here, don't be surprised if you are swimming alone or starting to catch other people. When you do make this turn right here, again, sun is coming up from that right-hand side, so you might be hit with some sun at this point in time. Very common for athletes to stop, pause, and get confused about a sunlight hitting their eye. Do not do that. Turn right, 5, 6, 18 strokes, 20 strokes, pick up your head, figure out where you're at, and if you are around other people and they're doing all the sighting for you, just, sight off of them for a little while. If you get to this 2nd sighting buoy and you realize you're way off course, then that is a point where you can break away from that group very easily. Remember, as you are going back in, there's typically a left-hand push, but there has been years when there was a right-hand push as well. So just be aware of what's happening in the water at that point in time. If you know that you're veering off to the left because of that push from the water, aim to the right a little bit for that finish. When you do get out of the finish, make sure you hit those pools of water. You're going to run on sand. There's normally pools there. Dip your feet in, get some sand off of there before you zigzag up into the transition area. So you will vacate the swim right through here, and you'll go through a little fence before you will run up this zigzag path through the grass and then back into that transition area where you will get your bike. And then you will also do another longer than you want run, taking a sharp right-hand turn, and people fall every year or pull their muscles or do whatever, right? Because they're running in plastic cleats. So make sure when you arrive at this sharp right-hand turn to go up this hill, you are not going excessively fast. Very, very common for athletes to go down before their bike even starts. Another common thing for athletes to do is to not put their bike in an easier gear. Put your bike in an easier gear, you're going to immediately start climbing on this route. Another common thing is for athletes to zigzag before they get up to speed. So if you are starting the bike course with a number of different athletes, make sure you keep your head on a swivel for these first 150, maybe even 300 meters out on course, because people are going to be going all over the place. There's going to be people that miss the clips. That happens every single year. So now that we've talked about that, let's dive into one of my favorite courses, or one of my favorite websites up here. Let's go to the Olympic bike course. So we just talked about right through here. This is our starting point out of the park. And remember, we have, 1,100 feet of elevation gain. 250, 225 feet of those feet are happening when you leave the park. Okay, so it's not, and it's weird, when you're going up, it's not the incline that you want it to be. Imagine 1.5% grade for the most part. When you start out, you're starting on a 4% grade-ish. Some places it pops up a little bit more than that. But again, it's not what you want it to be or what you think a 1% grade should be. It's going to feel difficult. You just swam probably faster than you should have, and other athletes are going to be around you smoking this hill. It's not a terrible idea to let these athletes go if you're way outside your power ranges. So just be aware of that when you are exiting the park. Very common for athletes to totally motor up this hill. Taking a left-hand turn out of the park, you are going to drop down a little bit, and that is going to be a welcomed thing here. Very common again, and I'm going to highlight this next big section for you. Very common for athletes to drop down here, keep the effort levels up, and they pay for it later on from mile 5.8 to 9.3. Okay, and again, here we have 300 of our 1,100 feet of elevation gain, so it's not a throwaway. And if we just highlight these first couple of miles here, these first 9 miles, we have 500, so we have almost half of the elevation gain that we are going to have from these 9 of 25 miles. So these first 9 miles are very, very difficult out here on race day, so be aware of that when you're out there. You're going to have to attack that hill a little bit differently than what you want to. And here is the, actually that is the sprint. Let me back up here and get the other one. Here we go. Here is the Olympic that we've been talking about. And look, you can see here, if I just highlight that, you can see that that is our elevation profile that we have. Going up over to highlight the power one only, you can see that our power is going to be higher for sure. And this is going to be one of the chances where we do have an opportunity to stay in a sustained power output, especially here and here coming up this second big hill. Got too many tabs. Here we go. Right through here and here. Right through here and right through here. All right, this is going to be an opportunity where you are going to be in a sustained power output opportunity. Don't take that as a super threshold sustained power output. Again, this is a downhill section, right? It's not as downhill as you want. From mile 9, let's call it, all the way to mile 15, it's a steady drop. This is going to be, believe it or not, it's a very unique course. This is going to be an opportunity where you are going to have chances to make ground up on people. And that is because for the first 9 miles, they have totally thrown their legs to the wolves, right? They are flying out there. And then for these next miles, they take some off and they're just getting down there. The pace might be high, but the power level's not too high, and they're just kind of cruising. They're getting down it. Don't be that person. Keep your foot on the pedals. Take these first couple of hills a little lighter than you want to, and keep the effort level on all the way to mile 15, where the race really kicks off. From mile 15 to mile 20-ish, 20.5. That is going to be the most difficult portion of the course. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 hills, let's call it, before you get back to that park where you do start dropping like a stone from here all the way back in. And again, we're going to bounce around for a second. As you go into the park, it's not going to be a decline that you want it to be. You're still going to have to work. It's very easy to get suckered into the mentality thinking I should be going faster at this point in time. I'm going to totally push the power here and then pay for it later on. Watch your power and don't get sucked into the fact that you technically should be going faster, because everyone's going to be thinking they should be dropping like a stone. And in reality, if you look at this downhill section right here, that major downhill portion doesn't even start until you get to mile 23.8, and then you're going to start to see those negative 2.8s, 2.5s, and beyond, right? And this last section right here, if you look at it, it starts at mile 24.3. 24.6 is the total distance of this course. So you have the downhill that you want for 0.3 of the course. And that is another area where you can totally overdo it. So big key to the course here is from mile 9 all the way through to mile 20 is the big key out in this course to really pull some time back on people and not blow up. Now, moving on to the run. This is the Olympic run. The dash portion is not paved road, so be aware of that. Again, you're going to come out of transition and you are going to go up a major hill. I tell everyone this every year. You do not have to totally attack this hill. Your main goal is to just get up it. Walk up it, run, walk, run up it, watch your power. There's going to be places up here where it is very steep, okay? I'm listing a 4% grade, but I can tell you for certain that that is a misrepresentation of just how steep it is in some areas. But as you start to get to the top, it starts to come down a little bit. We have a 2.5% here, which is runnable. And then when you make that right-hand turn, okay, it's very runnable for a while. And again, what people do is they try to make up all of the time that they lost on this uphill on this very next section, which is a steady downhill. Don't let that be you. You want to get time back, but you want to do it at your pace. Watch your power, watch your pace, use it in conjunction with your heart rate. Big key for this next section is your RPMs, okay? You want to be landing underneath it. You want to be avoiding that heavy braking, because this is, again, not an area where you should be braking a whole lot. You shouldn't be reaching out in front of you. You should be letting gravity do a lot of the work here, because you're just going to turn around and you're going to climb back up another little hill here before you really start to go down. This next little hill, or this next section that is a rolling downhill, is going to be a little bit tougher than you want again, okay? But remember what we talked about beforehand. Let gravity do some of the work where you can, and avoid those heavy brakes that you have of leaning out in front of you, or extending out in front of you rather, with your legs, and using that to brake and stop your body. If you are getting to that point, you're probably better off walking down the hill, because afterwards, we're going to run through the finish line area, and then we're going to zigzag, and we're going to go right back up again. Then the strategy is going to be the exact same as the first loop. Just get up that hill. Don't push it major. If you do have the opportunity to run and you're feeling good, go for it, but watch your heart rate, watch your power, go down the list of how you're feeling. This next lap is the area for you to attack, because most people will have done it on the first lap. Okay, once you get to mile 4.0, that is going to be the time for you to say, hey, it is time. And if you are feeling good, then your time is going to be at 3.7 to start that attack mode that you are going to be carrying into that finish line, hopefully for a happy day. So that was the run. We already talked about the bike, so we can get rid of that. Now, what we are going to be talking about next is the sprint course. Okay, so changing back up to, actually we need to go back to the other tab for the sprint course layout. So sprint course maps, here we go. We're going to be rocking and rolling here, scrolling all the way up. Similar course before. Again, biggest thing you're going to have to watch out with this course are the posts in the first couple of meters here. They are going to be a little bit longer than you want them to be, so watch out. About 100 meters into this swim is where the posts really disappear. You're going to turn. Again, you're going to probably avoid some of that current that we talked about for the half and the Olympic here. You are still going to experience some slight pushes, but nothing major, nothing really to write home about. And then you are going to go out onto the bike course, which is a 15.5 mile loop here. It is a one loop course. And here we have the power profile for that. If you also wanted to dive into the sprint profile, here it is in a nutshell. Again, we're going to have to climb those first couple of miles out of the excuse me, out of the area, out of that state park, and it's going to be natural to really, really push the pace, and it's going to be easy to push the pace. Do not do that, okay? Because afterwards, after you get to mile 6, that is going to be go time for you to push that pace. It's from 6 on is time to go. For those first 4 or 5 miles, that's going to be get your legs back under you, don't blow up. And then from mile 6 on, you're really going to have to pay attention to your targets and how you're attacking that race course. As you get back into the park, again, don't be surprised if the speed is not what you want. Watch your power outputs. The sprint run is going to be a one loop course. The pacing strategies that we talked about for the Olympic are going to kind of go out the window here. We are going to get up this hill as fast as possible within reason. We obviously don't want to sky our heart rate in the first 30 seconds of the run, but we have to be moving a little bit, so this is going to be a case where you are alternating your walk-run pattern up this hill a bit more so you can get up it slightly faster. After you get 0.77 on the way, you are going for the rest of the time. You do have a little bit of an out and back here where you do turn around. There is some more slight elevation, but again, at 1.5%, you probably will not even realize it's a major hill, and then you're attacking the rest of the way in. Watch out on all courses for this little unpaved section right through here. It is not, again, it's not paved, so you will have some loose footing and some potential to roll your ankle, things like that. And those are the kinetic courses in a nutshell. If you have any other concerns or want to talk about it a little bit differently, I can connect with you on an individual level and we'll talk about your specific race plan. Happy racing for everyone over the weekend.